Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. I'm here at Pinehurst, North Carolina, getting ready to play the number 4 course. But I just wanted to let you know that we had some technical difficulties when recording this episode. We have audio only, no video. It's our Thanksgiving episode. I hope you enjoy it. Thanks again for tuning in. Hey! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Golf and Politics. Today we have something special for you. Our new producer, Jordan McMillan, who we've never formally introduced to our listeners, started with us a few months ago. He's doing a great job. He's actually a videographer for the firm that I work for called Camp here in Oklahoma, and he's been a real blessing to our podcast, to our firm. And today he's actually going to interview Rob and I. We're going to do a Shotgun 9 Thanksgiving edition, and we're going to release this after Thanksgiving. But, you know, Thanksgiving's such a good holiday. There's no reason we can't keep it going a little longer. So, Jordan, thanks for doing this morning. Rob, happy Thanksgiving. Hope you had a great day yesterday. We're recording this on Black Friday. So,
yeah, I'm excited.
Well, thanks here. Thanks, Matt. Welcome, Jordan.
Well, let's get into this Shotgun 9 so I can actually go try to play 9 holes today before my son plays for the state semifinals football game tonight. And it should be a dynamic game. Both teams are undefeated, number 1 in the state versus number 2 in the state. I don't understand why we have to play in the semifinals. I feel like we should be playing in the finals next week. But if we do win today, next week will be a tough game as well. But it's a little cold. It's a little cold to golf right now. It's 29, but it's going to warm up the floor.
It is.
So I got this nice warm Majority Cup hoodie. I probably shouldn't have worn it inside because I'm sweating right now. But
well, Matt, we have a similar schedule today. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get golf in. It's pretty cold here in Columbus, Ohio, but I am going to a state semifinal high school football game tonight as well. My niece Ella is a cheerleader for Olentangy Liberty. So I will be out there in the cold elements, I believe in Mansfield, Ohio. So we're excited for that. It's a good team. They've got a lot of seniors, so hopefully they don't drop off too much, but hopefully they all do really well tonight and keep it going.
Yeah, there's something a bit emotional about it for me, just every play. I mean, this is potentially the last time he'll play high school football. I believe they're going to win tonight, but, you know, that first playoff game when they came out of the helmet, ran onto the field, I'm like, been doing this for 4 years. And when, he was a freshman and sophomore, he had JV games as well. And the freshman year, you had freshman games also. So, I mean, I think freshman year between scrimmages, JV, and freshman games, there was like 29 or 30 games we went to that fall. And so you play that out over 4 years. It's about 100 games, and it just becomes part of our family life. And it's going to come, even if we win the state championship, it's coming to a screeching halt one way or another next week. So I need to just soak it in and enjoy every moment. I know Rob will do the same. Ella's a junior, right?
Ella's a sophomore, so we've got 2 more. We've got 2 more years, and so I've got 2 more years to indoctrinate her in the game of golf, and you've only got about another 6 or 7 months to get Shambu hooked and get him ready to go before he's off to college.
My business partner came over yesterday for coffee in the morning, him and his wife and son, and he goes, "No, Shambu, you don't really like to golf as much as your dad." He says, "Well," he goes, I'm not very good. And he goes, "I go through phases though, where we'll play like 3 or 4 times in a month, and then he won't pick up the clubs again for 2 months. During football season, he hasn't picked up the clubs. I don't think he's picked them up once, but he likes to get out there playing a scramble. I just don't see him making this his top hobby anytime soon, but you never know. Things can change in a heartbeat, and you never know when you're going to get bit with the golf bug. So,
oh, maybe for Christmas, a 5-pack or 6-pack of lessons with a local pro might, I think sometimes when they're just out there swinging away, they don't really know what they're working on. But if you give them a goal, especially somebody that's athletic and competitive the way he is, might get the bug going. It's for me, it was just hitting that, first sweet shot or a couple good shots and getting it going. And it made me want to keep coming back. So maybe that's what it'll take.
Well, Jordan, let's get into this.
All right. So first one's very fitting considering we're recording this on Black Friday. But would you rather be Black Friday shopping or play in cold, rainy weather on the golf course?
I'll take cold, rainy weather on the golf course.
Agree 1,000%. I mean, it's not even a debate. I have never been Black Friday shopping. I will never go Black Friday shopping. There's absolutely nothing appealing to me about it at all. And as miserable as it can be sometimes when it's cold, nasty weather, I'd still rather play golf than be with all the crazy people at the mall right now.
Yeah, I shop on my phone.
That's to most people.
Yep.
And I would say like a bad day on a course is better than just a good day anywhere else.
My wife's new way of shopping is she will literally go on and buy $3,000-$4,000 worth of clothes and return $2,900 worth of the keep one thing. It's just it's the new thing. I don't know.
You just
It is easier.
Try it on hill.
Easier. Yeah, she does. I mean, and there's times I'll go. Her office is off of our laundry room, and above the washer and dryer is where she keeps all these. There'll be like 8 to 10 packages at any time of clothes that she needs to go return at the post office. But that's the way she shops these days, most of the time.
All right, next one is so on Thanksgiving Day, after you've got your fill of turkey, mashed potatoes, or whatever, are you napping or are you not napping?
Oh, I'm napping. Yesterday I took 2 naps. I mean, it's Thanksgiving napping is the best, and it's one reason that at times when we lived up north, closer to a lot of family, we would have to go to 2 or 3 Thanksgiving gatherings in a day. And while I love my family very much and cherish time with them, it interfered with the napping schedule of Thanksgiving. There needs to be some appropriate rest. I'm very thankful for the rest that I got yesterday. I got a nap around 1:30 and then another one after dinner during the third quarter of the Cowboys game. So it was great.
I am a nap guy. I take more naps than Joe Biden. I get up at 4:30 or 5 every day because my most productive hours, I don't know if it's psychological, but it's when I feel like everybody else is asleep. So I get a lot of work done between like 4:30 and 8. And then usually mid-afternoon, I'm pretty tired. So I take a quick power nap and then I'm good to go and can get through dinner and get through everything else. So Thanksgiving kind of throws me off a little bit because I don't get up as early and then we eat much earlier than I'm used to eating. So yeah, it can often be a 2 nap day, but yesterday was a 1 nap day.
I'm the same way, Jordan, by getting up early. And I think I've talked about this on the podcast before a lot of times, especially in the summer. I'm getting up at 4:30 because I want to crank through all my emails, assign work to the team, edit mail pieces from the night before, etc., so that I can free up some time to play golf. But if I'm not playing golf that day, it's usually about a 20-minute nap, and I'll drink some caffeine right before the nap around 1 o'clock, sleep for 15, 20 minutes, and I'm good to go for the rest of the day. Because you wake up and that caffeine's already hit you. It's great. Naps are fantastic.
Oh, power naps. All right, moving on. So what is the most underrated Thanksgiving side dish?
I'm going to go with succotash. I think succotash is fantastic. Anytime you can mix vegetables together. Now, here's the thing. I don't have, and I know we're going to ask underrated, overrated. I like all the sides. I like all the Thanksgiving food. I'm not a picky eater. Now, sometimes people will prepare good foods poorly, and I don't appreciate that. If you're just going to throw some lima beans and corn and mix it together and call it succotash, I'm not the biggest fan. But if you've got nice seasoning with it, maybe some peppers, some jalapenos, something like that, I think that can be a very underrated side dish that a lot of people don't think about on Thanksgiving, but I like that.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with a side dish I make, crispy Brussels sprouts, and I like them really crispy. It's one of my specialties. Everybody seems to like them, so I get assigned them every year. And then my sister made yesterday this I don't know, it was like a corn. I don't want to call it I don't know. It wasn't like a corn bread, but it was like a corn. I don't know, side dish of some sort, but it was really good. And I don't know what it's called. I wish I did because I want to eat it again, but it was really good.
Let me tell you an overrated side dish that it grew up, and I'm not complaining because it wasn't like it was bad, but I would choose just maybe not to eat it. Is these sweet potato casseroles that people put together oftentimes, and they put pineapple and stuff in it, and I'm just like, and I like pineapple, but just mixed together, it's not my thing. However, I think it's probably 20 years now, which is crazy. We're at Ruth Chris Steakhouse, and we ordered the sweet potato casserole at Ruth Chris, and it was phenomenal. My wife then went on and found a copycat recipe of that, and then she improved it by a nice crispy layer of marshmallow on top of the Ruth Chris sweet potato casserole. It's a family favorite. Everybody likes it except for my 6-year-old, who gave it 2 thumbs down last night at dinner.
Along that same, so what's the real main dish at Thanksgiving? Is it ham or is it turkey?
I think it's turkey, but I would like to lead an effort to change this tradition. I think it's such a complicated process, and the return on investment just kind of sucks. Like, I mean, it does. Like, I don't dislike turkey, but I mean, when you have options, like, I mean, you could make it ribeyes or like, a big tenderloin on the grill would be like a far more superior main dish. So when it comes to ham and turkey, I like both, but Thanksgiving is more about the side dishes and the desserts. Everybody knows that. There's no point in even debating it. I mean, I've had spatchcock turkey. I've had, every different trick, deep fried, and no matter what you do, it's still going to end up being kind of dry. I tend to prefer dark meat to white meat. I think the best use of a chicken breast is probably to pull it apart and make chicken salad out of it, because it tends to be pretty dry. But that's just me. But it's an important tradition, and I don't think you could ever talk my mom into replacing the turkey with a beef tenderloin. The night before, yes. So now we do beef tenderloin for Christmas.
I mean, look, I get it. Turkey can be a lot of work, and you said it well. Sometimes not a great return on investment. I also feel like it's not prepared well by a lot of people, and if it's not prepared well, the white meat is completely unedible. I mean, I'm just thinking you don't even chop it up and put it in turkey salad. Like, it's just not edible if you dry it out. Last year on Thanksgiving, I smoked 3 turkeys. I started at 5 o'clock in the morning. We had a huge amount of family here last year, and smoking them on the green egg, you can only do about a 10, 11-pound turkey. So one, having that smaller turkey, preparing it for days beforehand was really helpful in brining it and seasoning it. And then using that meat thermometer as your friend. People don't utilize the meat thermometer. Everybody's afraid of undercooking chicken and turkey. In the moment, you can always put it back on the smoker. You can always put it back in the oven. But the moment you cook it for even 1 minute too long, it goes from pretty good meat to unedible. And I'm with Rob. Dark meat is far superior in my book. And what's good for me is most of my family doesn't really like the dark meat, so I get my choosing of whatever the best cuts are of the dark meat every Thanksgiving.
So what is the most overrated side dish on Thanksgiving? Like, what's one that you could do without?
Ooh, to do without. I think like the green beans with almonds. It looks good, and you got to have some green stuff on the table to make everybody feel better. And it's probably good for you, but I'll have a few just to like get something healthy in me. But I don't think anybody goes into Thanksgiving thinking about, oh, I can't wait for that green bean with like shaved almonds dish on, like, get out of here. We're all there for like the stuffing, mashed potatoes, mac and cheese. I even have started, it's really the sweet potato side dishes have kind of grown on me, although I don't really believe in marshmallows on anything besides a s'more. Like, I feel like marshmallows belong on s'mores and nowhere else. I don't really need that on a side dish. It could be on a dessert maybe, but that's just me.
Yeah, I look, if nobody's eating it at Thanksgiving, maybe it's overrated and you shouldn't bring it the next year. That's the way I'd put it. But it's just what everybody likes. I mean, there's food that I think is the best that other people aren't going to, but ultimately, if you show up to a gathering and year after year, there's only one scoop taken out of it, you might want to reconsider what you're bringing to the gathering.
Yeah, I think the important thing with stuffing too is I hate soggy stuffing. Like, I think stuffing needs to have a good textural mix of crispy with soft. in it, and that's what kind of makes it good. And sometimes when like either it's cooked in the bird or allowed to like they maybe bring it out hot and put it in a Tupperware for a while, then the steam kind of gets in there and it gets really soft. It kind of ruins the stuffing. It's got to have a crispy texture to it. That's one thing I'm a stickler on. I on some dishes where like I'm very particular in how it's prepared, I make sure that I prepare it myself because then I know it'll get done right. And there are other things where I know I'm not as good at, and I'll leave that to my mom or my sisters or my brother-in-law. But one of my brother-in-law, John, who you know, Matt from MG Cup, is Italian and makes incredible sauce. There's debate on whether to call it sauce or gravy, but he makes Italian sauce with meatballs and pork rib, and all other sorts of stuff in it. And so before we have Thanksgiving dinner, like around lunchtime, that thing that's been cooking out there for like 7 hours, we have a little bit of pasta first to have a little Italian influence
Nice.
on Thanksgiving Day. And it's really well done. And frankly, if you eat enough of it, if the turkey sucks, it doesn't matter because you're not really hungry anymore. So.
Yeah. Well, everyone knows you can't have Thanksgiving without football. So what is your most iconic NFL memory from Thanksgiving Day football?
I will go first. I'll say iconic because it's memorable, but it also sucked. It's my least favorite football memory. I could be getting the date wrong on this, but I believe it was Thanksgiving 1997, Pittsburgh Steelers against the Detroit Lions, and referee Phil Luckett screwed up the coin toss. Jerome Bettis and Carnell Lake clearly said, I forget if they said tails, but whatever. They said what it ended up being if it was tails. And then Luckett said it was heads. And the Lions got the ball. And that was back when first score won.
Yeah.
So the Lions went down and got a field goal, and we lost the game over a coin toss. So that was probably the most iconic. I do want to just genuinely throw in here, this is not just as a Steelers fan. I think it sucks having the Cowboys and Lions and Bears on like every Thanksgiving. Like, I mean, the Lions are at least good now, but you know, other than the Barry Sanders stretch, watching the Lions every year genuinely sucks. And the Cowboys have been terrible since January of 1996. So I think that's a tradition that's a that's a tradition we could easily shake up. I think like if we're playing on Thanksgiving and Christmas, put the hottest teams out there. You know, put games that people really want to watch on a holiday, because nothing makes me want to go to sleep faster than watching the Cowboys.
Well, let me just first. I'll agree and disagree. I agree. The most iconic memory is it was actually, and the only reason I know this, Rob, so I looked it up this morning. It's 1998 when that happened, and I mean, Bettis clearly said tails. I mean, there was no question about it. He says tails. The referee says it's heads, or says it's tails, and said you called heads. I mean, it was just wild to watch. I mean, you can listen to it. That should be something that's instant replay can take care of or something. I mean, it was just, you lost a game over. It's crazy. I agree about the Lions for years and years. It's a terrible tradition that the Lions play first and they're not good. Now, I will say this about the Cowboys. They are, outside of the Pittsburgh Steelers, they are the biggest draw in the NFL, whether they're good or not good. Everybody still likes the Cowboys. It's a ratings deal that they're always going to be playing on Thanksgiving because they are quote unquote America's team. I will argue that the Steelers are actually America's team, but you can't argue with the fact that it draws eyeballs whether they're good. If they're bad, people like to talk about how bad they are and how pissed off they are. They have to watch the Cowboys. If they're good, people want to watch it. I agree though. I mean, finding ways to get teams like the Steelers on Thanksgiving more often would be good. However, we got the Steelers and Chiefs on Christmas Day in Pittsburgh.
Hey, do you know why the Cowboys are named America's team? This is a true story. The commissioner of the NFL in the late 1970s approached Art Rooney, the owner of the Steelers, and said, "We'd like to do a documentary on the Pittsburgh Steelers, America's team." And Art Rooney said, "You know, Commissioner, we're not America's team, we're Pittsburgh's team. And so then the NFL went and did the documentary on the Cowboys as America's team, and that's why they have that nickname.
Good deal.
I will say though, I usually enjoy watching Dallas, but Dallas and Giants was a pretty sorry.
Oh, the Giants are
Thanksgiving.
the Giants are a dumpster fire of dumpster fires. Like it's
So
I enjoyed listening to Tom Brady more than I enjoyed watching the game.
that's fair. I'm a Cowboys fan. I will say that this was not the year to be playing on Thanksgiving.
Well, I'm glad we could do your welcome to the show by just shitting all over the Dallas Cowboys.
Hey, first home win of the year for the Cowboys yesterday.
I know.
Pathetic as that.
And it wasn't even a good one.
There's something that Rob doesn't know about me. We've been friends a while. I don't think he knows this, that I actually am a Cowboys fan as well. I like the Steelers and the Cowboys. I'm probably one of the only people in America that now Steelers take priority for sure. But if the Steelers are out of it and the Cowboys are alive, I'm going to cheer for the Cowboys. Having my dad growing up outside of Pittsburgh, where Rob will tell you where we grew up, everybody is a Steelers fan. Everybody, except for my father. My father likes the Cowboys. And so he tried to indoctrinate me for years. And there's a Halloween picture of me in kindergarten in a Danny White uniform. And talk about getting ridiculed. The Cowboys were terrible when I was a little kid, just absolutely horrific, as bad as they are right now. And so growing up just outside of Pittsburgh, I'd get made fun of for cheering for the Cowboys. And then all of a sudden they got good with Emmitt Smith and Troy Aikman. And so I like that. But I started thinking as I became a teenager, I'm like, I can't cheer for the Cowboys. Like, I live in Pittsburgh. Like, I'm a Steelers. Like, I like the Steelers. And so, like, I was probably eighth or ninth grade when I made the decision that I am a Steelers fan. And that first year that I'm a Steelers fan, they played the Cowboys in Super Bowl 30, and the Cowboys beat the Steelers. So I cheer for the Cowboys as long as I'm not playing Pittsburgh. And I appreciate Jerry Jones from a business standpoint. The guy's a business genius, and he has literally made the NFL a ton more money over the years. However, he's a terrible general manager and can't seem to put a team together that's going to be competitive and get back to those glory years when he had Jimmy Johnson at the helm.
I went to their stadium the year it opened, and it's a spectacular facility. So same with SoFi in LA. But when you go to those games, it's the opposite vibe of Heinz Field. I still call it Heinz Field, where there's not much of a home field advantage, because I feel like fans from the opposing team circle Dallas and LA on the calendar is like wanting to go see those stadiums. So when you get there, it feels like there's just as many fans from the other side, and they're so big that there's like this just overly corporate, comfortable vibe. Like, I don't think you should be able to eat sushi at a football game. Like, it's a little too high end as far as like what we're used to at Heinz Field. So they're beautiful stadiums, incredible facilities, perfect for hosting Super Bowls and Taylor Swift concerts. I just don't think they're the best venue for typical Sunday or Monday night football games.
I agree 100%. And let's be honest too. 30 to 40% of the population of DFW is not from Texas. They're from it's a place that people are migrating to for business or weather or whatever. They're not all necessarily from there. It's one of the fastest growing metropolitan areas in the country. So you end up with a lot of fans of opposing teams. And I agree. I mean, there's nothing better than Heinz Field. I'll still call it Heinz Field. Acrisure. I don't even know what Acrisure is, but
it's an insurance company of some sort.
The only time there's a bad atmosphere at Heinz Field is when Pitt's playing and they're not playing West Virginia, because they don't attract any fans.
All right, we've all keeping up with the thankfulness. What are you least thankful for about your golf game? And then we'll end on to what are you most thankful for about your golf game?
We're gonna least thankful. This is gonna turn into a therapy session very quickly. I'm gonna start. I'm least thankful for my inconsistency. Like, I will play 12 holes like a +2 handicap, and then I'll play 6 holes like a bogey golfer, and just do the most ridiculous things. And I mean, I've had some rounds. I mean, the other day I started triple bogey, double bogey. That was my start for the first 3 holes. It's like, what I was really proud of is I battled and I shot 80 after starting 6 over after the first 3 holes. I'm very inconsistent, and I think what I'm least thankful for is the way my attitude can get about being inconsistent. Like at the end of the day, I'm not a professional golfer. If I hit really bad shots, I just need to move on and keep a positive attitude and have fun when I'm out there. And I can way too easily get really, really pissed off at how bad I'm playing. And that's no fun for me, and it's no fun for the people playing with me. So those are things I'm working on.
I would say least thankful right now. I don't know if least thankful is the way to put it, but I think my goal for the off season is to increase my club head speed by 5 to 10 miles per hour. I think, if I could get another 10 to 20 yards in me, and I think it's in there, that would really impact my game a lot. I'm most thankful for, I think the strength of my game is everything 160 yards in. I'm probably as good in that area. Hands of an angel, if you will. But I think my off-season goal is club head speed, closing the gap with Matt, and getting another 10 to 20 yards. I know it's in there. I just got to work at it.
And while Rob's working on the extra speed, like I want to hit 2 more fairways around. I mean, hitting 2 more fairways around will dramatically change my golf game. My putting's actually improved a lot, and I've switched to a lab putter recently, Rob, and it's unreal. I mean, I'm making more 6 to 8 foot putts. I mean, if I get a good read and I get the speed right, it's like I don't hit it offline. I mean, it's almost impossible to, and I'm not even using one that I was fitted for. I like it so much, I'm getting fitted for one next month, and it's just amazing for me because I would struggle to pull or push putts, and then I'm wondering, did I misread that or did I pull it? Taking that out of the equation, it one less variable has helped me putt tremendous. I hit the ball terrible last time I played on Wednesday. I mean, absolutely terrible, and still shot 77 because I was making putts from all over the place.
I love the lab putter. I tried it earlier in the year, and it was great for me inside 10 feet. I struggled with it on longer putts. And I guess I just, no matter what putter I put in my hand, I just keep going back to like the old school Scotty Cameron Newport 2 model head that I've just been playing with since, 1996, 1997. So I just keep finding that back in my hands. But I did really like the lab putter. I think they're onto something with the weighting. I mean, it just definitely doesn't twist at all as you're going back and through. I have just a slight bit. I did a putting lesson on one of the monitors, and I have a little bit of rotation going back and through. And, so it's not as useful on my end for the technology that it comes. I think the lab tech is perfect if you have a straight back, straight through stroke, but not everybody does. Tiger Woods doesn't, Ben Crenshaw doesn't, they've got a little bit of rotation. But I think they're really, really cool. And I know they're helping a lot of people putting on the greens.
And Rob, like you should not change anything inside of 160 because it is the strength of your game. Like, you make a lot of putts, and even when you're not making a lot of putts, you're scaring the hole. So yeah, I wouldn't change anything on your short game.
The key is getting more, 8 irons in my hand than 6 irons. If I'm 8 iron and down, even 7 iron and down, look out.
Yeah.
If I'm having to hit a lot of long irons or hybrids in, like they're not bad, but if I'm playing against somebody that's a lot longer than me, over 18 holes, it becomes an advantage. It just means I've got to make that many more putts. I got to get up and down that many more times. It reduces my margin for error. And so if I can get an extra 5 to 10 miles per hour swing speed, and a lot of that is just practicing it. Like, it's exercise, it's working on it with swing weights and exercise to get that extra speed. And it's something that, I'm coming off of being sick for, 3.5 years. It's one of the last things to come back is just strength and endurance and those things. But this year I played a lot of golf and I've got the endurance back. I've just got to get some of the strength and speed back.
So a question for you, Rob, are you going to be working with Mike McGettrick on speed training, or does he have somebody else he wants to send you to?
Yes.
Specializes in that.
Yeah. So we're working on that. And then he has been working with a golf specific trainer. And I'm going to start working with a golf specific trainer on like, there are certain ways to exercise for golf. It's a different muscle set. You tend to want stronger tone, leaner. And so over the winter, my goal was to try to, get more speed, more flexibility. So I will be working with a trainer on that starting next month. And then I'll still be taking lessons with Mike and trying to incorporate more speed into the swing without changing the swing, the consistency of it. And then just other things that anybody can do. Like I got a few different like swing training gadgets or tools that I have just in my house, that, on a commercial break or in between meetings on Zoom, just take 20 cuts, take 30 cuts, take 40 cuts, like try to get them, more speed on each one. And, hopefully by March or April, it'll be a noticeable difference. But if not, then we'll just dance with, with what God gave me.
You had mentioned playing a lot of golf this year. I know Matt has too. So what course are you most thankful to get to play over this last year?
Well, that's a good one. Wow. I think it was really special getting to play Pine Valley with, friends from MG Cup, RTJ, MG Cup. I think just that weekend in general was awesome. Getting to have family and friends and clients all in one place, was very special. I think our trip to Ireland really stood out. I really loved Critch Island. It was a 9-hole par 3 course. That 9 of us played at the same time. That was a special memory. But really, I mean, I've been blessed to be able to play a lot of the best courses in the world. And now I've just kind of reached a stage where it's less about what I shoot and where I'm playing and more about who I'm playing with. It sounds corny, but once you kind of checked off a lot of the ones you want to check off, it's more important about spending 3 or 4 hours with a fun group. So MG Cup, RTJ, Pine Valley, Ireland trip was incredible. Yeah, and then architecturally, I had a really cool trip to Long Island and played national golf links in Shinnecock, in the same stretch. So that's about as good as it gets, I think. But the year is not over yet. So the year is not over yet.
I've been on a bender for me this year. I'm at 50 golf courses played for the year, which is probably the most I've played since I was in my late teens, early 20s, and had a blast. And more importantly than the great golf courses I've played is the great friends that I've made, friendships that have been established. And that's the new goal. I mean, yeah, I want to play the top 100 and they will come as they come, but I don't care if we're playing a local muni, you can make a great friend at the local muni. And so the goal for 2025 is to increase that to over 100. Because if you're playing 100 new courses in a year, you're going to meet a lot of great people along the way. It's hard to not say Pine Valley or Ballybunion. They're just both iconic golf courses. Ballybunion being the best course in Ireland and Pine Valley the best course in the U.S. Two of the best in the world. But again, the friendships we made in Ireland, the friendships at the MG Cup, texting with Rob, you talked about this one on the podcast where your friends become other people's friends. I mean, a bunch of guys I met at MG Cup, we're texting back and forth on Thanksgiving. We're talking trash. We're looking forward to our next matches. One of your friends sent me a swing from 18 at Robert Trent Jones. I'm like, you could have sent me any other swing. He's like, well, that's the only one I recorded. I said, well, I'm not thankful for that swing that I made on that hole, but I'm thankful for our friendship. And so it should be good. I'll tell you one thing, though, that I'm not thankful for. There's a golf course in Newark, Ohio that shut down this year, and it's sad to me. It's a club I used to be a member of called Mound Builders Country Club. Started in 1911, and they never owned the land. They leased it from the state of Ohio. And this is something we should probably do a golf and politics episode on because there's a lot of politics involved. The Ohio Historical Society broke the lease a couple years ago, and after a 5-year court battle, they finally settled, paid the club, I think $10 or $12 million, and they are relocating to another facility. They bought a public course in town. And I just think it's absolutely insane that it wasn't the best golf course in the world, But Mound Builders Country Club in Newark, Ohio was one of the most unique golf courses in the world because it was a golf course through historical Indian ceremonial mounds. And so it's never going to be played again. So here's what I am thankful for. I'm thankful that I played in the member guest this year and had a great time. But I'm also sad that I'll never play it again because it was one of my favorite golf courses to ever play because I was a member there, and it's just so many good memories and good friendships made through the years.
Yeah, I had three other sad stories like that in the Steubenville area. Blackmore Golf Club is now closed. I used to work there, and I would love to play it again. I mean, I played so many rounds there as a teenager with my dad and with my buddies. Same with Castle Shannon and Red Oaks, which was in Unionport, Ohio. I worked there. I worked maintenance there for 2 summers so I could afford to buy my first 1994 Jeep Wrangler. And so those are 3 courses that you wouldn't see on any rankings lists, but they're important to me. And I wish they were able to have made it to the pandemic era and maybe caught a little bit of the golf boom. But for whatever reason, they've closed, and it's a bummer.
Yeah, I mean, all 3 of those courses were important in my childhood as well. And I had a 4th, Pleasant Valley in Weirton. I mean, all 4 of those had special memories for me. I mean, I probably played Castle Shannon 30 times, Red Oaks 30 times, and then Pleasant Valley was my home course at one point. So it just stinks when those kind of places shut down. And I tell you, Rob, I've been thinking, I mean, I have some, we don't want to get into on this episode, but I have some dreams and goals for golf in the Ohio Valley that we need to make happen at some point. I mean, that's an area where golf has really died a lot. And there's just literally 10 less courses than when we were kids for a population area that's not real big. That's really damaging for people that like to play golf. But
Totally.
it's all financially based, and I'd love to find a way to get the youth in that area involved in golf because I think it'd be better for them, not just from something else to do, but for a life standpoint. I think there's a lot when you're playing golf that you're always aspiring to something more. And so hoping that we can maybe get the game of golf going in the Ohio Valley at some point.
Maybe we kick it off by having a tournament somewhere in the Ohio Valley.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Yeah.
Moving on to, I think this is number 8. What are you most or least thankful for? Rob, you might hate this one, about the 2024 election.
What am I most or least thankful for? I would say I am least thankful for losing. That's not fun. Nobody enjoys that. It's a terrible feeling, and there's a 4-year sentence to it, if you will. That's not fun, but I am thankful that I got to vote for Kamala Harris. I think she's a smart, decent, ethical person. It's nice voting for a woman of color, but somebody that I generally like and agree with on most issues. I'm probably a little more conservative than where most Democrats are, but I think compared to the alternative, at least, was proud to cast that vote, even though in Washington, D.C., she probably took 94% of the vote, and Donald Trump maybe came in 3rd where I live. It's still too close, way too close. No, I think what I'm grateful for is that we had an election without violence. We had an election without major unrest. There was clarity to it. There were no major allegations of fraud and abuse, credible or not. And it's a reminder that, we still live in the world's greatest country. And our responsibility on that front is to participate and to contribute more than just voting. Voting is in my view a right and the least of what should be expected of our citizens. You're supposed to then go out and keep an eye on these guys, whether they're Republicans or Democrats, and if there are instances where there's agreement and the president and the Republicans do a good job, I will say it. If there are instances where we disagree, there already are. I feel part of a responsibility of citizenship and speaking my mind is to speak my mind and do that. But I'm also grateful that we live in a country that has to be bigger than politics itself. Being a good citizen is being a good brother. It's being a good uncle, a good father, a good son. It's being a good neighbor. It's being a good business person that's honest with your colleagues, employees, and clients. And so I think to me, being an American is more than just an election. It's what you do each day between elections. And, I still feel a sense of responsibility to do that. There's a little bit of a mourning period, MOURNING, mourning period. But, that's part of the business that we're in. I'm sure Matt wasn't thrilled 4 years ago when President Biden was elected, just as I wasn't thrilled 4 years before that when Hillary Clinton lost. It sucks. But that doesn't mean we become any less engaged or any less um, dedicated to being good citizens every other day of the year. And I still feel that.
Well, I want to echo a lot of the sentiments that Rob just said there. There's a lot that I agree with about being an active member in society, an informed citizen, and taking part in voting. And I'm thankful that I was wrong, because I actually believed, while I predicted that President Trump would win, I also predicted that it would be a lot of unrest about it. And frankly, in the grand scheme of things, it's been really pleasant. And yeah, there's some angry people out there and people that say ridiculous things on both sides. But for the most part, the country's moving on and the country's transitioning, and that's a good thing. We couldn't say that 4 years ago when there was some ugliness around it. So I just think that's something I can be thankful for. Now, as the Trump jock sniffer on the show, I'm absolutely thankful that Donald Trump won in resounding fashion. I'm actually beyond Trump being in the White House, there's like 17 lawsuits that the state of Oklahoma has against Joe Biden that are going to get dropped. There's a lot that's going to be good for our state and for the things that I want to see accomplished. I'm also really thankful for my friend Mark Wayne Mullen, the senator from Oklahoma, who arguably is going to be one of the top 4 or 5 most powerful members of the U.S. Senate now, because he's such an ally to John Thune and was helpful in getting him elected as majority leader of the Senate. He's very close to President Trump and is going to have a very good communication with the Oval Office. And he's very close, having spent, almost 10 years in the House. He's very close with a lot of the leaders in the House. And Jason Smith is his best friend, who's the chairman of Ways and Means. And there's a lot of tax policy that's going to be happening. And so I'm thankful that Mark Wayne's going to be in a really good position to deliver for my home state now of Oklahoma and accomplish some great things. I'm least thankful for some of the voter turnout that we have in Oklahoma. It's in our primaries, and let's be honest, 90 to 95% of our government in Oklahoma is determined in primaries, and our voter turnout was absolutely abysmal in June. Outside of Tom Cole's district, where he was challenged by some out-of-state guy that spent a bunch of money, everywhere else in the state was under 20% turnout for the primary. And I just don't think that's a good way of choosing our leaders, to have that few people showing up to vote. And I was very, very ungrateful that my friend Kevin Wallace, who was the appropriations chairman here in Oklahoma, he lost his race in a primary. The state of Oklahoma is not better off because Kevin Wallace got booted out of office because people thought that he was part of the quote unquote swamp. The man brilliantly, got our state on solid financial footing with over $1 billion in rainy day and another $1 billion in other reserves. That kind of institutional knowledge getting booted out in a primary, I don't think is good for Oklahoma. But you live to fight another day. There's always plenty to celebrate, Rob, and there's always plenty to mourn about, because no one party gets everything that they want. And even within our own parties, we never get 100% of what we're looking for. It's just part of the system. And so I'm thankful we live in a country that we at least have a system and that we have say in how to govern ourselves.
And let's go back. So this is a take on the dream golf foursome that you guys usually do, but this is going to be around Thanksgiving dinner. Who's your celebrity, pro golfer, and politician that you'd like to have a Thanksgiving meal with?
I'll let Matt go first because I need to think about it.
I'll go ahead and I'm going to go a set of living people and a set of deceased people. And my list here is different than who I'd want to golf with. Who I want to come over for Thanksgiving dinner is different. So let's go with the living folks right now. I don't think there's a more interesting golfer right now than Bryson DeChambeau. And being somebody that's aspiring to do well on this podcast and create good content on the internet, he's killing it right now. I'd love to have Bryson DeChambeau over. Celebrity, no question, Jerry Seinfeld, funniest man on the planet. Love to have Jerry Seinfeld at dinner. And then politician, I've shook his hand once at a fundraiser, but I don't know JD Vance at all. And I think that he's a very interesting, he's somebody I don't know. There's plenty of other people in politics that I do know that I would really love to have over at my house for dinner at any time. He's somebody I don't know that I would like to get to know at dinner. I think he's got some interesting things to add to conversation. So that'd be my three: JD Vance, Jerry Seinfeld, Bryson DeChambeau. And then dead, Payne Stewart would be the golfer. I miss that guy. I think he would add so much to today's game. I'd love to hear what he has to think about so much. He was a dynamic personality and golfer. Celebrity, Ernest Hemingway, I think would be great. And then politician, how can I not say Ronald Reagan? I mean, the guy was class act all the way.
Okay, I'll go with politician, a fellow Georgetown alum, Bill Clinton. I just think that in my lifetime, I don't know if there's been a more talented retail politician in the game, because he genuinely enjoyed people and listening to their stories and enjoyed the art of politics, interacting with Congress, not just giving big booming speeches, but his intellect, curiosity, truly special. I had a chance to meet him. He spoke at my class when I was a student, my junior year. And I met him afterwards, and I had just read his book, My Life. And in it, he talked about when he was a student at Georgetown, he was going back and forth to Arkansas because his mom had cancer. And he was also working on Capitol Hill as a staffer for Senator Fulbright. And he felt like he had a foot in three different worlds at the same time: as a student on campus, as a professional on Capitol Hill, and dealing with a sick parent. And I told him that, I was from Ohio, was going back and forth. My mom had cancer when I was at Georgetown. I was working on Capitol Hill for Congressman Ney, and also a student at Georgetown. And I felt that same tug, and I didn't know about it until I read his book. And he loved hearing about it. So fast forward a few years later, I saw him at a charity event. I reminded him of who I was. And the first thing he asked was, "How's your mom doing?" I met him once. He remembered who I was. He remembered the story. And that's not a political gift. That's a human gift. That's the ability to genuinely give a shit about people you're talking to. So definitely Bill Clinton. I would say golfer, professional golfer, alive Tiger Woods, because he's the only really famous golfer that I haven't met that I would like to meet. I've been within 10 feet of him at tournaments, but I think meeting him means like shaking hands, being introduced, like having a little bit of an exchange. So you got to go Tiger Woods. Dead golfer, I would say Bobby Jones, but either Bobby Jones or Walter Hagen, just because I think that I'm really fascinated by that stretch of golf history between like 1920 and World War II, when amateur golfers were held at the highest of esteem and pro golfers were kind of seen as hustlers. I love the book, The Match, which obviously doesn't feature Jones or Hagen, but I just loved sort of the cultivation of the game of golf and how it grew in the US. And Walter Hagen was kind of a partier and a fun guy. I think he'd be kind of fun to talk to and hear stories from. And
Can I plug our episode with Wayne Vallis? If you like that era of golf and you like what Rob is saying there, you need to go back and listen to our episode with Wayne Vallis and him telling the story of giving a White House tour to Walter Hagen, Gene Sarazen, and Byron Nelson. Three absolute legends that he was able to give a tour of the White House to. You won't regret listening to that.
And then I would say famous person. I'm going to go with Bob Woodward. I had a chance to work, not just getting to know Wayne Vallis, who was a former Nixon guy, but I worked for Walt Minnick, who his first set of office mates were in the plumbers unit, Gordon Liddy, Howard Hunt, Bud Krogh. And I have become a amateur expert on that era of politics, of Watergate, Daniel Ellsberg. I loved All the President's Men. I read it for the first time in high school. Loved the movie with Robert Redford. So I think Bob Woodward, and I think he's had, really as an of any journalist, the best up front row seat of anybody over the last 50 years, from Richard Nixon to Donald Trump. The access that he's had. And I know every president, including President Obama, were furious at his books when they came out in election years, but that just means they're good. Like, his stuff's pretty good. His sourcing is great. And I would love to hear some of the behind the scenes stories from Bob Woodward.
So how long's this episode been so far? I think we're over an hour. It was shotgun night. We do this with our guests. We expect it to be done in like 10 minutes. We just took over an hour, I think. But Rob, I enjoyed it. Thanks for making the time today. Jordan, you did a good job asking questions there. I appreciate that. It probably gonna be. We might want to do some more of this. I like this interaction and us getting asked the questions instead of always asking the questions. But enjoy your weekend. And if you're listening to us, we really appreciate it. We really do. I mean, I'm just amazed every time somebody comes up to me and tells me, "Hey, I really enjoyed this episode," and I'm thinking, "Wow, thank you for listening." I mean, we really do appreciate it. And check us out on all the social media: Instagram, Golf and Politics, Facebook, golf.politics on TikTok, Golf and Politics Pod, Golf Politics Pod on X, and download us on YouTube. Download us anywhere you get your podcasts, and we really appreciate it. Have a great day. Hey.